Oh, mention the war. Welcome to the Inside Football podcast. My name is Andy Taylor, and I am joined, as always, by Stuart and Isaac, who are going to help us catch up and get ready for the restart of the BUCS season. So thank you for those who are joining us. And I've just seen you go live on Instagram, Isaac. There's a bit of a lag there, so that was funny. But yes, no, nonetheless, it's great to be back and to have you all with us. Come and join the chat, come and join the discussion, and let us know where we're chatting nonsense, and we can take it from there. We're going to get through to a bit of news because there's since our last discussion of alignments, we may or may not have had a little bit of an update on that, so we can obviously talk about that. And then we will go through some predictions because it's prediction season, isn't it? When we're about to restart and we're looking to see where the season will end is basically the point. So how was your holidays, guys? How was Christmas? How was New Year? Did you have a nice relaxing couple of weeks off?
Mine was all right. I don't know whether I mentioned before Christmas, but I was back in a standalone store rather than my remote role. So yeah, back in the thick of it on the front line, serving customers all the festive drinks that we offer, festive food. I got 3 days off mine because we're like in a shopping centre type area. They were closed Christmas Day and Boxing Day, so I got 3 days off to enjoy with the family. And yeah, it's good fun. Good fun. No gifts around football or podcasting or anything, so here I am still sat on my darkened sofa and still using the laptop and stuff like that. So yeah, it was nice though. It was all right.
Yeah, and mine were busy, but I think I had something like covering 4 games in the space of 9 days, getting abuse in the middle of one of them. But no, apart from that, apart from that, everything was good.
There's no love lost between Isaac and the Blackpool folk.
No, I mean, we'll be in the Championship next year. They'll be in League 2. That's all that matters.
Oh dear.
Don't antagonise them anymore.
They'll be back after me soon.
Yeah, exactly. No, absolutely. And as you can tell, I didn't get any new Christmas gifts either. So I had to go out and buy it all myself. So yeah, change of scenery, change of view. You can actually see some wrinkles with this new camera as well. So never mind.
New laptop, or have you not got that yet?
I'm not talking about the laptop. I still haven't got over that trauma.
The inside jokes.
Yeah, head over to Inside Football Andy for an inside joke on that one if you want. I might post about that later. There was a saga and a bag of rice. You wouldn't believe it if I told you. Anyway, it's only proof in the actual box that was full of rice. Anyway, let's get into it then. So we're actually here for only talk about 2 fixtures really, and only one of them actually counts. But obviously, Winchester will tell you differently because it's about them getting into the. Is it Winchester? Have I got that right?
It is. Yeah.
Oh, that's right then. You said, and I was like, oh no. So yeah, Winchester.
Because you said only one of them counts. I was like, they both count. Come on now.
It doesn't count towards points. Anyway.
One counts more than the other.
Exactly. Yeah. One more than the other. And so obviously we'll talk about that, and then we're just going to start catch up about some news. Certainly alignment talk has been a big part of the conversation over the Christmas break in Adult Contact, and we've also got to start going down predictions because it's prediction season, as I mentioned. We'll talk about where we think people will end up by the end of the season. So before we do get started, I did want to just touch upon some unfortunate news that we found out today coming out of East Kilbride, the Pirates there, who announced that unfortunately one of their members of their team passed away, which they announced today. They didn't obviously give away any detail, which I wouldn't expect them to, but I'm just scrambling for a name. Gary Meechan, who unfortunately they shared the news of his sudden passing only at the age of 36, and as a as a 38-year-old, that hits home quite hard. So before we get into it, I just wanted to share my thoughts, and certainly I know you guys would want to share thoughts and prayers for anyone who's involved and knows Gary, and anybody around the East Kilbride team and organisation. We're thinking of you. And before we get going, we want to just mention someone that we've collaborated who passed over the Christmas holidays as well, didn't they?
Yeah, photographer from the South Coast, Chris Coop. I met him personally when I was refereeing, and I know as Baffer I've used a number of his images. He'd had a long-standing battle with motor neuron disease and MND. I know that Bournemouth had done some fundraising for MND charities, sort of in his, or while he was still with us, as well, to sort of help and reward the outstanding work that he did while he was photographing both the university team, the mixed adult contact team, and yeah, just wanted to add our condolences to the Coop family and all the Bournemouth people and everyone else around the community, because I know he did some fantastic work as well. So I thought we'd mention that just while we were touching on the news of Gary from Scotland as well.
Yeah, and someone that we've collaborated with as well. He was kind enough to share some of the images, which we were very, very pleased that he would give us that permission. So thanks to him. But yeah, we just want to start off there just to recognise those people who unfortunately the community's lost. But there's no good way to transition from that. But let's start talking about this week's fixtures, as we are still in the second half of 8.5, as we call it here, and we've got one game that counts towards this season and one that might count towards next season. So let's get your thoughts on this. Isaac, do you want to go first? Because we've got the Oxford Lancers versus Birmingham Lions this week, a rescheduled fixture, and then we've got an associate friendly between Winchester and Bath Spa.
Yeah, I think that the Oxford Birmingham game really it's important for both sides in a way, because you got Birmingham who still want to keep the fight up to Hertfordshire and Oxford Brooks, and you got the Oxford Lancers who really need a win to, cement their place in Tier 1. So it's a massive game for both sides, and yeah, it really does mean a lot, especially going into the back end of the season where now you're looking at, you don't got as many games what you want sides. You're counting down the games until either you're playing football, you're playing playoff football, or you're not, and you're going down. So that game's definitely huge.
Yeah, it's going to be massive, isn't it? Especially for an Oxford side who will be looking behind them, looking at what East Anglia are doing at the moment, because they're dwelling at the bottom at this point. But to be fair, we haven't seen a whole lot of. It feels like we haven't seen a whole lot of Oxford. I know they're 1 and 3, but a lot of those fixtures have been against those top two, haven't they? I'm just looking quickly to see. They've played Oxford Brooks. They have already played UEA before, and they've got that loss against them. So it is a big game for them if they want to try and start bouncing back after that Christmas break and trying to stay in Tier 1, isn't it? Stuart, what are your thoughts on this?
They've got the head-to-head over East Anglia, so I believe they're already safe. Right, okay. I believe they're already safe. So for me, I see this as a win-win for Oxford. I see them going out and really looking to take it to Birmingham, just to prove that they do belong in this division. Obviously, they're already safe, but they'll really want to say, okay, let's beat Birmingham and let's get ourselves in pole position for that third spot, and almost put a dampener on Birmingham, because they've had 2 and 3 in their first season in Tier 1. Probably not the season they were after, and I think if Oxford beat them as well, they're really going to be sort of sat there licking their wounds and going, this isn't what we were expecting from Tier 1. So yeah, for me, I want to see Oxford do well. Do I want to see them win? Probably not, because of my ex-Birmingham history. But yeah, I think it's a win-win for them in terms of if they go all out and they win, they're going to be celebrating. And if they go all out and they lose, it's like, well, yeah, okay, Birmingham are potentially the better team. So yeah, that's my forethought on this one.
They're only safe if East Anglia don't score another point, though, aren't they? If they don't cause an upset, is what you're basically saying, though, isn't it? Because if East Anglia travel to one of the other teams and come up with a point, which at the moment seems unlikely, but East Anglia do have Birmingham coming up next week as well. So I think what we're trying to say is Birmingham are the key to relegation, aren't they, for a couple of these teams as well, isn't
True.
it? So yeah, I think we said before the Christmas break that Birmingham have probably found their place, maybe, but they'll want to prove us wrong, won't they? They'll want to see if they can bounce back against with a couple of these final fixtures that they have. They've got 3 to go, haven't they? And all 3 of them against the bottom 2, as far as I can tell. They've got Oxford away, they've got UEA away, and then they've got Oxford at home to finish the season. So there's a chance here that they could find themselves catching up a little bit and then just settling nicely in a position where they probably be happy with maybe at the start of the season. Who knows? What do you think? Anything more to add?
No,
not particularly. I think if they go 4-4, they'll be happy.
Fair dues. Winchester Bath Spa, do we know anything more about that? I suppose it's just going to help them get into the league next year.
I have a feeling, if I'm honest, that this is the other way around. I have a feeling it's being hosted by Bath Spa. I might be wrong. I'll confirm it and have a look at it when we put the graphics out. But Winchester played a really strong Kingston team and sort of lost pre-Christmas. And they said that they potentially came out in the first half and looked fairly raw in terms of a team. So I think the Christmas break, will have reset them. They'll have had hopefully a week or so's worth of training. And they're going up against a Bath Spa team who got their first win. We kind of covered it before Christmas, didn't we? Got their first win in goodness knows how long before Christmas. So I think it might also help Bath Spa continue their momentum going into the fixtures that remain for them in semester 2 of their BUCS season.
100%. And so, yeah, we've only got the one game really this week. So it feels like, well, what do we talk about now? But no, we've got plenty to talk about, of course. So let's have a little catch up of where we were at the beginning before we broke up, right? So we had obviously an extended episode at the end of before the break happened, where we touched upon a few news items. Obviously, we touched on GB and the changes there, and then obviously we fired up a conversation around the alignments that would be happening in adult contact. Do we want to touch that now, or do we want to leave that till after we've done predictions? What do you want to do first?
Should we stick to BUCS and then come to Bath and
next? Yeah, fair dues. Fine, let's go with that. So let's go into the predictions then. So we found ourselves looking at the if the season ended today, and obviously at the moment there's a lot to remains still to decide what's going to happen within the playoffs. We've only got 2 positions left in the Prem National, and that's dependent on what happens between Loughborough and Leeds Beckett. I will pull up the standings there, and we can see that UE, Nottingham and Gold, and and Durham have already qualified for the playoffs, and therefore we're just looking to see if it's Loughborough or Leeds Beckett that join them. When will we find that out? Because I suppose their fixture will be coming up quite soon, won't they?
Is it the last week? I want to say
last week. Okay, yeah, it's to finish it off. Yeah, fair dues. So, Isaac, what do you reckon? Who's going to be number 1 seed by the end of the season?
I think the number 1 seed could go to Durham. When I watched them play against the UE Nottingham Gold, they just looked a class above it. It almost looked as if like everything was just clicking into place. They've already travelled down to Bristol, so that trip they don't have to do. Bristol have to go up to Durham to play them. Gold have to go up to Durham to play them. The travel now isn't a thing. They're welcoming people to their ground. I think it's really in Durham's favour to take that number 1 seed.
What do you reckon, Stuart? Who's going to be number 1 by the end of the season?
I kind of want to sit with Isaac, and I kind of think that Durham have everything to lose. If I'm honest, UE and Nottingham have been there before. They've done it. They know what the pressure is going to be like. So I think if Durham do it, then fair play to them, and we'll have that sort of 3-horse race that we wanted at the very beginning of the season. And then with that sort of opening game that Durham came out and battered Beckett and turned a few heads, it was just like, oh, okay, we might actually get that here. So yeah, I would love it. I'm not going to go all Kevin Keegan on you, but I'd love it if it was Durham. I would love it if it was Durham. Whether it will be, I'm playing that sort of head versus heart card. But yeah, it's Durham's to lose. Put it that way.
Well, one thing I'd say with Durham is they play a lot of athletes in two positions, if you know what I mean. So they play a lot of their guys on offense will also play defense, and that could really come to hurt them in the back end of the season when you're going to play Uwe, who are going to bring multiple guys in each position, Gold, who've got an entire second team to rely on if they need it. Do you know what I mean? It's going to hurt Durham at some point. Is that so? Definitely that. I think that. I think that we are just going to see what has to happen with them.
The team in the driving seat is Uwe, right? So they are in the driving seat at the moment. They've got the head-to-head over Durham. Obviously, Durham are going to have to host and then overcome that to keep that together as well, because they're all sitting there on one loss, aren't they? So it will come down to that rematch, won't it, between Uwe and Durham to decide whether Durham could do that. So I think at the moment, I'm with you guys in the way that it'd be nice to see Durham sit there at the top, with a bit of change, a bit of chaos, but I think the analytical brain in me is saying that it's going to be tough to overcome that. What is it? 11 point head-to-head difference that they've got. So yeah, unless of course Gold can take it to Uwe again, where it'll take all the maths out of it, won't it? It'll be just on points then. But yeah, I think I might stick with Uwe as a number one for now, just because they're in the driving seat. I know I'm boring though.
So we get a Durham Knots semi-final.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be tasty.
You would, wouldn't you? Yeah, and then Uwe would host Durham Knots,
Loughborough,
or Leeds Beckett, because that. Don't sleep on Leeds Beckett.
No, you would get Durham Loughborough semi. Oh, in my way. Yeah.
In your way.
Yeah, Durham Knots. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? That'd be class. And then obviously at the moment it would be Loughborough in fourth. Are Loughborough going to be the fourth? Do you think? Is there anything to suggest that they won't be?
I mean,
I suppose maybe
some of the rumours I've heard, I could see potentially Leeds Beckett doing a job over them, because it's not. I think it's a 6 points differential. It isn't a lot. It's a touchdown. So yeah, definitely I could see Leeds Beckett, because it's at Leeds Beckett as well.
At Leeds.
Yeah, West Park, where it's the worst conditions to play in all the time, no matter what. So yeah, definitely. I think that Leeds Beckett, we spoke a lot about how they haven't lived up to potential, but with some of the rumours that are coming out of Leeds Beckett, especially some of the players that might be getting back, them, that it could help them, especially at the back end of the season. Because now, if I were them, I'd just be focused on that one game. Let's be real. You're not going to beat the Knots. You're not going to beat Uwe. You're not going to beat Durham. The one team you can beat is a team you held to only 9 points. So yeah.
So probably the other prediction to get out of you then is, as it currently stands, we have a Brunel NTU final. If you decided that the number ones made it into the final, not always happens, obviously, but let's say they did for hypothetical conversation. Does either of them go on to beat one of the bottom two out of the Prem National?
I mean, Ian Atkinson is just the all-round great quarterback. So
NTU are winning it. Is that what we're saying?
I'll be honest. I think Brunel are a Prem National standard team, if I'm honest. I think the SGS, if they were to get there as well, could beat them. You look at a lot of teams in the Prem North and South, they could take it to a Leeds Beckett or Loughborough, if you look at just on paper. So yeah, definitely. I think that we got denied that opportunity last year, but I think this year, if we do see that game happen again, which I hope we do, it wouldn't be a shock to see a Prem North or South team go up.
Mm-hmm. Stuart, what do you think?
I think Brunel are in much better shape to take that step up. I think that they would compete really, really well against a Loughborough or a Leeds. I'm pretty sure that Loughborough played Warwick in pre-season, or they played somebody in that division in pre-season, and by all accounts did really, really well, and sort of in some phases dominated the Prem North team. So I think Brunel in the Prem South are better equipped than a Prem North team. The Prem North seems like it's really scrappy and really close between the top four, and having officiated the Warwick Trent game, I've had first-hand experience of that. So I see, again, I'm repeating myself, I see Brunel being the most likely team to take it to the fifth place team in the Prem National.
Are NTU going to win it, Stuart? Do you reckon they're going to top this division or not? What they're there now, so what is the reason why they don't? Is it that because they've got what's the rest of their season look like? They've got to finish off their season, they've got two.
It's changed because they released a new graphic yesterday with their up-to-date fixtures.
They've only got 3 games left.
They've got 3 games left, 2 at home, 1 away.
2 at home, exactly.
I am just scrambling.
It is
Newcastle
at home, Leeds at home, and then Northumbria away.
Right.
So Northumbria away is going to be a tough one.
Yeah.
But by that point, they could have it already wrapped up. It's the last game of the season. All they've got to do is beat Newcastle, who we've been sleeping on, but sitting at 500, and Leeds, who they handled quite firmly in the reverse leg. So yeah, definitely, I think that Northumbria one wouldn't be a big shock if they win. They've already got the win from Northumbria. So
yeah. I piled the pressure on Durham and said it's theirs to lose, and I'm doing the same again with Trent. It's all in their hands. They're in the position they'd want to be in, and if they win their 2 home games, it's theirs, right? So yeah, I think they do top it, having looked at the schedule. But do I see them beating a Brunel in the final if they make it that far? I don't know. I just think Brunel have too much firepower, both run, pass, and on the defense to overcome Trent and win their second final in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
My question in all of this is, if, let's say, it's Brunel or NTU or whoever wins it, if they refuse to play the up-down game, do you think then the second place should go and play it? I think last year, you have Leeds Beckett, who many could argue they shouldn't still be in the Prem because SGS refused to play them. Is that an argument for this year? Could you potentially see that happening?
Depends if it's in the rules, isn't it? I just don't know whether there is an argument if it's written in stone that it can only be the winner. I mean, I would have done that last year. Yeah, I think we talked about it last year, where if the northern team is left, loses but is left in a situation where the southern doesn't want to go up, well then why not offer it out and see if they can go and challenge? How would was it Leeds last year? Warwick. So how would have Warwick last year got on against Leeds Beckett last year? It'd have been interesting, wouldn't it?
You could argue that potentially, if Warwick were to get up there, we could see potentially the same of what's happened, based on what we're seeing this year, the same of what happened to Leeds Beckett or Loughborough this year. But still, it'd be nice to have a bit of a change and a bit of a refresh rather than seeing the same 5 teams. But no, definitely, I think that's something that should be looked at going forward anyways.
100%. And then if we just, before we get into playoff sort of predictions, if we have a look at the South, for instance, do you see Brunel stopping anywhere? Is their train fully up and running, and their biggest worry is a home game against a team that they've already beaten in the SGS Pride?
Yeah, well,
they finished the season quite bang. I'm on a delay here. Sorry, Isaac, I talked over you. They finished the end of the season quite banged up. They played 5 games, obviously, pre-Christmas in something like 7 weeks, I think it was. 6-7 weeks. I had to get 1 in this podcast, didn't I? yeah, they finished the year quite banged up. So I think they have healed up over Christmas. I think they'll come out fighting and raring to go and really looking to put a statement up before they get playoff football. When is it? It kicks off in end of February for the Prem North South. So yeah, I don't think they slow up whatsoever.
But it all comes down to that final week, though, doesn't it? The 15th of Feb. They've got an away trip to Cardiff, could end up being tricky. Away trip to to Portsmouth, based on pre-Christmas form, not too much. And then you've obviously got this SGS home game, which that'll be it, won't it? That'll probably decide it, because SGS will probably not let up either, and it'll be possibly be a 7-0 team against a 6-1 team by the time that game comes along, won't it? Do you see it being Brunel?
Yeah, quite honestly.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to not say Brunel in it after the 2 years that they've had. It's him, it's going to be hard to prove otherwise.
Yeah, and it'll be an interesting finish to the season at the bottom of that division as well, won't it? Exeter have either got to find 3 points, right, to overtake Portsmouth, including beating Portsmouth, or they're going to have to do a 2-touchdown turnaround against Portsmouth, aren't they? So it'll be very interesting to see how that goes at the end of the season as well. Have a little look at the playoff in particular for this tier. What's the final going to be? We've already talked about it possibly being NTU and Brunel. Can you see it any other way?
I guess Warwick could upset the apple cart. Yeah. Obviously, they've shared 2 really close games with Trent. So if anybody's going to do it, I think it's probably going to be them. And then, depends on how SGS and Brunel go.
Hang on. We're all sleeping on one team here. Okay, we've been accused of it all season. Only kidding. Come on. But no, it's going to be. I think it's going to be Brunel versus NTU. In all honesty, it's going to be hard to not see them 2 in the final.
The only thing that's in the back of my head is the NTU of post-Christmas last season.
New quarterback, new way of living. Everything's going to be. Right. I tell you, everything's going to be okay.
Okay, fine. There you go, Ian. It's fine.
I believe in you, Ian.
Awesome. Very good. Okay, let's have a look at Tier 1 then. So with Tier 1 at the moment, if we look at the North in particular, we've got some obviously runaway in terms of Edinburgh, Napier, Lancashire are running away with that, and Green is so far running away with that division as well. Is there any spicy predictions out there that doesn't finish the way it finishes, the way it currently stands in those divisions?
No.
You just can't, can you? Nobody's scoring on them.
Exactly, and I think that I'm looking forward to that Green Hallam game in next Sunday. That's going to be feisty. Always is. I'm going to be there. I can't wait. Yeah.
So I suppose the question is who's going to join them, isn't it? Yeah. So in the playoffs itself, try and pull this up, and it's really busy for the podcast. But obviously, on one side of the coin, we've currently got Stirling in there. We've got Manchester Tyrants. We've got Sheffield Hallam, and Glasgow. Do I ask you who may be there instead of that 5 by the end of it?
You can. Let me get the spreadsheet up.
The only one the only other one who's close is Man Met.
Yeah, it's got. Yeah, I think it's going to be between Sheffield Hallam, and Man Met really, because I could see Sheffield Hallam getting beaten by Green again, and then potentially not losing for the rest of the season. But for Sheffield, it's going to be interesting to see how they finish the year, see if they can stay in the playoffs. Yeah, definitely, I could see Man Met potentially sneaking in there. Just I don't know who for. If I could see for anyone, it'd probably be one of the Sheffield sides.
Well, yeah, at the moment, based on the seeding, it would be either Sheffield Hallam or Stirling at the moment, because what gets forgotten about is that it's not the best loser. The third place teams get grouped together. So it is position by position. So at the moment, it's Sheffield Hallam, it's Man Met, and it's Stirling battling for 2 places. So Man Met probably best place if you look at the rest of their fixtures. So they are away to Lancashire, so we know probably how that's going to end. But then they host to finish the season Liverpool and Edge Hill. That's not a bad run-in, is it? To try and fit in that 7th or 8th seed. If we look at Stirling, on the other hand, they host Edinburgh, they host Glasgow, and then they travel to Heriot-Watt. So if they can get over that Edinburgh hump that might be there, and maybe that Glasgow challenge as well, then actually we might be saying the same thing about them as well, but maybe a little bit sooner, because they've got those to start off with.
I think that fixture on the 25th, the Stirling Edinburgh Mavericks fixture, will reveal a lot more, because that fixture pre-Christmas finished 34-32 to Stirling, with the light gate at Pfeffermill. No, is it Pfeffermill? What's the ground called up in Edinburgh? Whatever it is, when the
something like that.
No, that's the stadium. That's the stadium, not the 3G AstroTurf they play on.
I'm sure
it's not going to. I'm sure it's Pfeffermill as well.
Yeah,
if that's how you pronounce it. But yeah, that game only finished with a 2 points. That game only finished with a 2 point differential in Stirling's favour. So I'm sure that the Mavericks are kind of sort of sat on their seats up in Scotland, going, "Don't forget about us, guys." And will they come up against the Napier Knights? Will the Napier Knights be in rest mode come week 11? Probably not. They'll be looking to put a similar sort of 42-6 type drubbing on their crosstown rivals that they did earlier last year, calendar year rather than academic or anything. But yeah, the Mavericks are probably in with a shout as much as Man Met are, I think, for the best third placed team, if that makes sense.
Which would mean no Sheffield Hallam. So that'd be interesting to see, won't it? To see if that. So that it feels like that might be the big talking point going in, isn't it? That 7th and 8th seed going in, because we feel as if we know what 1 to 3 will look like. So who's going to be number 1? Well, if Lancashire don't know how to concede, I can tell you who's going to be the number 1 seed if they continue their defensive forms. Because unfortunately for those around them, the first way to separate these teams is points conceded, and if you don't concede anything, well, you're going to be the top of any sort of shuffle, aren't you? And then we've got Manchester, Sheffield, and Glasgow at the moment sitting in there in 4th and 6th. So it'll be interesting to see if anyone pops out of that table, because as you've just described, there's a chance that Stirling could be sitting in that 6th seed or higher, couldn't they? And they swap around with Glasgow, so it'll be interesting to see how that falls out. Anything more to mention before we go south?
Nope.
No.
So in the south, let's remind ourselves where we were at prior to Christmas. So Bristol in the driving seat for that division on the back of Bournemouth being -7, and so that is highly unlikely to change with the fixtures that are left for both Bristol and Bournemouth. And you've got Hertfordshire and OBU battling out for number 1 in the southern, and then KCL and Kent. And Brighton aren't to be forgotten about in the southeast. So this is probably where all the fun is, dare I say, which is interesting for someone from Liverpool to talk about. But it feels like the chaos is in the south, isn't it, guys?
It is, most definitely is. The southwest, I think there's a scenario where Bournemouth can finish top. And it comes down to that Bristol-Bath Killer Bees game. Bristol beat Bath in a really close game that I went to, if my memory serves me correctly. I've slept since that one, haven't I? Yes. Where am I? Bristol beat Bath 12-7. And I think if that goes the other way round and Bath take the head-to-head, then there's a chance that Bournemouth could finish top or Bournemouth miss out completely or something like that. I need to relook at the spreadsheet and redo my maths, but that Southwestern division with that points differential is intriguing. And then the other two divisions then, again, as interesting, but I think will finish pretty much as is, based on the results we saw in semester one. It's just then a case of who concedes the less points, as you mentioned before, in the hope of getting better seedings going into the playoffs.
Yeah, and what will be more interesting and probably more of a headache for me to try and predict is that we haven't got any unbeaten teams here. So when it comes to, trying to figure out who's going to be in what seed, etc., there's also been some fixtures called off here in this tier, which obviously affects playoff seedings as well. So that could come to bite Kent in the backside, because they were the victims of a cancellation or a forfeit. So it'd be very interesting to see how that all fills out. But at the moment, we've got Hertfordshire 1, Bristol 2, KCL 3. It's going to be that battle between OBU and Hertfordshire, isn't it? And we've got that the final game of the season, which is just going to be incredible finish to the season, isn't it? If you're going to predict, who would it be?
Out of OBU and Hearts?
Yeah.
OBU.
Oh, it's going to be the battle then, because I'd go Hearts. I think just the way that they demolished Birmingham in week 7. I think that just shows that, on their day, they can probably beat anybody. I'm just scrolling up and down to see whether they faced each other.
They have.
Yeah, 21-14 to Hearts.
Close game.
Yeah.
OBU haven't slipped up this season that much, I believe. From what have they lost 2 games so far this season?
Just the one.
Right?
OBU, just the one. Just that Hearts one.
Just the one. Yeah. And no matter what, they're always scoring. And I think that's always a good thing, that even when you're not playing your best football and you lose, they're still scoring 14 points. And I still think that, even you're looking at this, and at the end of today, they'll come up against each other in the second round. So I think definitely that OBU could go all the way. I think that they'll beat Hearts to it, if I'm honest.
That's an incredible spot. As it stands right now, there'll be a third game of this in the playoffs. That's a great spot, because you're right. You've got 7 points separating them at the moment. Hertfordshire has a slightly better offense at the moment, 25 points per game versus 23 points per game, and then OBU have got a better defense, technically, averaging 7 points a game compared to Hearts 9 points a game. So, there really isn't much in it at all. And as you say, there was a touchdown in it on home turf. You can imagine that OBU could swing it the other way as well. So that, I can't wait. Let's just hope they don't slip up along the way, because it would just make that final week all the more interesting, especially with all the other fixtures that we talked about in that final week that are coming up as well. Anything else you want to mention about this before we move on to tier 2?
It's going to be interesting to see if Bournemouth don't slip into the best of the third teams. Unlikely, yes, because let's be honest, they're probably going to win out. They're going to get up to 9 points, but it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see if Bath can challenge them and
Bath would have to win, wouldn't they? Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
It's definitely, especially with them, looking better. I think definitely is going to be interesting.
That is one hell of a chaotic scenario, isn't it? Yeah. So let's play that out. Bath win out, right? Yeah. Let's say Bath win out, and obviously it's a big if, but let's say Bath win out. They will have beaten Bristol in that situation, right? Yeah. Let's say they've beaten Bristol by 6 points, right?
It'll
be Bath top.
Bristol second.
Bristol second, Bournemouth third.
Yeah.
Now that's chaotic. Yeah. Now, let's play that forward a little bit, shall we? As a little bit of fun. So that would make Bournemouth the top 3rd seed. So that would make them 7th seed, which would, at the moment, mean that they'd be travelling to Bristol.
Right. All this is for is guys, just handle your admin better.
Yeah.
just do the basics of the game better.
100%.
There were a team in adult ball who did the exact same with some foreign player and the Rams. Exactly. And it's like, guys, just do your admin properly. It's the basics of the game.
Yeah. Club secretary, come on. Yeah, 100%. Oh, that would be amazing, wouldn't it? So what we're predicting is we're predicting 3 Hertfordshire OBU results, fixtures, which would be amazing. And then we're going to have chaos because Bath are going to win the division. We don't think that, do we? I don't think we are actually saying that, are we?
I do. Right. I'm off the UEA, not the what they call it. I've got the name. I've lost them behind.
ARU.
I'm off the ARU train. I'm now on the Bath train. I don't know where you are, lads. Sounds like a lovely place, right? But I believe.
So we know who's going to be 25th on your poll coming into going into the.
I actually think, ironically, I think they've been quite high on my poll. Not high, but high for a Div 1 team for quite a while. But no, definitely. Awesome. 25 is reserved for the Bradford Bears still.
Awesome. Well, briefly then, let's also move on to the into Tier 2. So we're now into Tier 2 North. So a bit of a reminder that we've got Lancaster sitting at number 1 of the Northwest, Sunderland just top of the Northeast, and then we've got ARU who slipped up just before Christmas, and they're now top 3 and 1. Cambridge pulled it back, didn't they, in the Midlands? And it was DMU, wasn't it? So Cambridge pulled it back on the back of DMU beating ARU by 1 point. Was that just a slip up? And actually, let's not worry, ARU will still finish top, Isaac, do you reckon? Or is it going to be a case of they've now got 2 home games to finish the season by the looks of it, 1 against Cambridge at the end?
I'm fully off the bandwagon.
Fell off.
Yeah. I've actually jumped off. But I think from what we've seen so far this season, they do have the skill and the and the want to grind out wins. I think they've had quite a couple of close results where it's either a score or like 1 point in it for most of the season. So definitely I think that's something they can lean into for the last 2 games. But yeah, I think Cambridge could definitely, push them as far as they can. They've got the bagpipe player on the sidelines. They've got everything going for them. This is why Div 2 is the best division in football.
Unbelievable. Stuart, what do you reckon? Any other surprise? I suppose we don't know what Aljamie are going to be like. We saw 1 game of them. They've got to finish out their season with the three fixtures, and their next one's going to be key, isn't it, with Lancaster? That's probably the biggest question in that division.
Yeah, I was going to mention the Northeast and hope we get some fixtures after Christmas
that'd be lovely.
that are played and not tied, because we can't forget that there's two ties and a forfeited fixture because it was cancelled twice in that division. And then Sunderland was like, YSJ, we want to host you because we're going to batter you 44-0 apparently. So I think it's Sunderland's to lose in the Northeast. And I think that they will then progress quite well in the playoffs. And then in the Northwest, it'll just be interesting to see some games. And what are Salford, because they did really, really well in their first game against Kiel, and then hosted Lancaster and lost 38-0. So I think with like the merry-go-round of that division and the Midlands division of teams beating each other, it'll be interesting to just see what happens and who comes out with the 1, 2, and 3 seeds to then make the playoffs, which we've got correctly now. If the season ended today, we got Hull and York the wrong way round. My bad.
Oh no. 2 teams play. Oh no.
that don't play. And when they do, they draw.
Exactly.
But, and I think the one thing that I need to start seeing out of this Conference Cup, I suppose, if you want to call that, is someone that will actually be okay in Tier 1 next year as well, because we haven't seen that yet. I know Lancaster are 2-0, but we don't know what they are until they come up against the other divisions, because we don't know whether they're in a really straightforward division for themselves, or whether it's going to be actually when they come up against York, they're still going to do well. So, I don't feel as if we've got like an Oxford BUCS or a team like that, or Sheffield Hallam sitting here at this point.
The thing with Lancaster, it's going to be interesting to see when they play LJMU, because so far they've played Keele and Salford, a new team, and a team we expect them to beat. It's going to be interesting when they play LJMU with the experience that they have, and see how that goes, really. And it's the same for York. They've now got YSJ twice. I think they played YSJ twice back to back, something like that. I saw the other day. So we could see them move up quite a lot, really. So yeah, I think to your point of there's no one really ready, I've got to agree. You look at a team like Sunderland, who could be an argument for one who is. They've just got a load of lads in who are there for now, and they're not there for 3 years' time. It's you look at like a team like Northumbria. It's why they did so well. They had an American QB for 2 years, so they could grow a team with him, and in turn they've gone from Div 2 all the way up to the Prem North. So I think that's one thing that none of these Div 2 teams have right now, is a good enough recruiting class, I guess, is the right way to put it, where they've got lads who will go to Great Britain, have got experience in America or whatever, where they can just keep going and keep growing.
And we could just be sleeping on Lancaster, and they're actually really, very good, and they're just taking care of business, isn't it?
Yeah.
But we just won't know that for another few weeks, of course. And then let's have a look south, because if we remind ourselves of what's going on in the south of Tier 2 at the moment, Swansea sitting there 2-0 alongside UE2s in the southwest. Reading 3-0, doing a bounce back there as well, and Imperial and Quimble are sitting there. The good old mighty Quimble are sitting there with Imperial at the top of their division in the southeast as well. So I suppose the fascinating finish will be this Imperial Quimble battle, won't it, in the southeast? I think that'll be really interesting to see how that finishes. And then obviously we don't know what's going to happen with the southwest, because they've only played 2 games. So take us through any sort of thoughts you think that might finish, or what you're expecting to see towards the end of the season.
Again, I'm intrigued by the southeast. Quimble post a lot of stuff in terms of stats, in terms of figures, and I like what I see, but obviously they've got that loss on their copybook that kind of blots it. I'm just quickly looking through
Imperial,
to see who it was. It was against Imperial. So they're going to have to obviously overturn that to try and get the number 1 seed out of the southeast. I don't know whether they will or not, if I'm honest. So I kind of see that division almost finishing as it is. The Southern, I think, is where we find ourselves with a Tier 1 ready team. Reading, by all accounts, it looks like they're going to bounce back and jump up. We've got our newfound celebrities in the Surrey Stingers sat at number 2. The Big Game 5, whatever it's called, the Channel 5 NFL UK program that the Surrey Stingers appeared on at the weekend. Let's just hope that their offense and defense can do better than their kicking game, judging by the competition that they had on. Because that was top tip is wear cleats when you're kicking. If you watch the video, it'll all become apparent. And then in the southwest, UE2s, I think, have got 2 or 3 games. They'll be really looking to chase down the Swansea Titans, who, put up on their socials about a few really good things that they did pre-Christmas with some figures. So, yeah, I think it's going to be between those 2 for the playoffs there. Do they play each other as well? They do, week 11. Beginning of February, so that fixture there will tell us everything that we need to know. Some of these teams only play each other once, so they'll need to win the games to get the head-to-heads. So the ball is always in their court. So yeah, that's how I see those 3 southern divisions playing out in that tier.
You'd certainly hope that there is some shuffling, because there's potentially a couple of rematches happening in the first round of the of the playoffs, which we just don't want to see, do we? Not in the first round, I don't think, anyway. But Quimble Imperial currently planned to face each other if it stays the way it stays. But let's hope it doesn't do that. And that's all to do with obviously, depending on how many games each side plays. I can't remember the full details of the maths, but I think when there's different amount of games played across each division, then you have to go for average points. And I can't remember where we got to. It was a while since I did the maths, but you got Imperial versus Quimble, and don't want to see that again really in the first round. So hopefully it can shuffle its way apart. But no, I think I agree with you. I feel a bit. There's a few more tier 1 teams in this side of the division than in the north. But again, we've talked about why we might be wrong on some of those teams in the north. If the wash brings out the quality right by the end of the season. Anything else to get to here?
No.
Interesting to see how it all finishes out, but hopefully that at least gives you a refresher as to where we're at, and give you a couple of ideas of where we think we might be in the next few weeks, because the regular season will be over by the 22nd of Feb, and that ain't far away at all, is it? So
5 game weeks left if my spreadsheet is correct.
5 game weeks left. That's not a lot at all. Right. Quick touch on the news that we had over Christmas, right? So before we got into Christmas, we had the discussion that was happening over British American football around how D2 in adult contact was no more, and there was plenty said. Isaac, you were very vocal, of course, being heavily involved in that tier for 1, but obviously you mentioned a number of points, and then we found out that week that an email had gone out to all teams saying that they weren't going to do that yet, but it might happen in 2027. So presumably you're happy at that thought that it's coming back in 2026. We think obviously still to be a matter of review at the time of recording anyway.
Yeah, I think it's the right decision, really. I think to scrap it as a whole to begin with, like to, without any warning, just to happen, was the wrong thing to do, especially with the rumoured alignments. But definitely the way it has been put out now and how it's come back, and it's like, well, don't get used to it kind of thing. Like this, we could be looking to move to, and that's better. I think that's better communication from BAFA, really, rather than just one day springing it on coaches going, it doesn't exist anymore. And I know there's been chat before about getting rid of it and stuff like this, but this now has pretty much been a clear thing of, this, enjoy it because it might not be here for long. I still think that getting rid of it as a whole is a wrong idea. Even if they make it like an associate level thing, that's better because for it. But definitely to see Div 2 back, I think it's a really good thing, and it shows what kind of a community we've got in a way, and that that the governing body does actually listen to teams when they're not happy, and that's always great to see really in any sport. And
I think that's part of the point is as well, is that the governing body needs that engagement as well, doesn't it? It I don't think it ever professes to be the all-knowing. Maybe it does sometimes, but not always anyway. And we know a number of the people involved, don't we? That that they haven't got an easy task, and to try and get it right and get. But then we did have quite a bit of what's the word, stirring going on north of the border in Aberdeen as well, didn't we? So we had a lot of statements come out about the travel that Aberdeen were doing. And actually, I feel for Aberdeen as well, because I still don't think people appreciate how far away Aberdeen is.
Yeah.
We talk with the HNC guys all the time who are all based up in Aberdeen, and they come down to Manchester, and we see them in Manchester, and they laugh every time about how people from London will complain about coming to Manchester. No, we've just done double the time you've just done. By the time you've got to Manchester, we're not over the border yet, And so I think it's something that really has to be treated with care, doesn't it? That sort of stuff.
Yeah, I think when I saw the original rumored alignments, I started plotting it on maps, and I was like, this kind of it. I was going to originally say it doesn't make sense. It kind of does, because I see where they're going in terms of the amalgamation of Division 1 and Division 2, but is it the right way to do it? And as Isaac said, the timing just didn't quite sit right with a lot of people. We obviously weren't on the calls. We don't know what went on the calls. It was sort of embargoed, apparently, to the people on the calls. And then it was just like, it kind of got shared out. And then obviously Aberdeen were vocal about it. And, you know, to their credit, were sort of fairly transparent about their situation. And I think that opened up a few people's eyes to like, okay, this is what might happen to the structure of the sport if it goes down that route. So yeah, and again, we mentioned the credit of listening and, you know, adapting and restructuring their original plans, and sort of phasing it so it's not in 2026, it's potentially in 2027, when I'm sure they'll have other feedback meetings and other league management and team management meetings to gain more feedback about how it's gone through 26 before they go yes or no for 27.
And to be fair, that's probably the first. You know, we obviously got sight of the communication that went to clubs, and it's certainly the first time or certainly not the first time. Let's start again. I think it does help having preemptive sort of insight as to the thinking of the competition management, right? So if they're saying this is where I want to get to, we're going to talk about this a bit more over the next year. This is where we're going. This is where we're heading. It allows for conversation, doesn't it? Which is great. And teams can be on board, because they're going to need teams on board, aren't they?
Yeah, and I think it's something that they can definitely take from BUCS. You know, you see how Tanya's, you know, when he came onto our podcast last year and said, look, the aim is to get the national up to, you know, we want to extend it, we want to make it bigger, but there's a way to do it and there's a time to do it. And I think it's more like that. I think that, you know, it would be nice if people from BAFA would come on here and talk to us about some of the decisions rather than just making them sometimes. Do you know what I mean? And I know sometimes it's nice to and sometimes you can say, oh, well, it's just the teams who need to know, or whoever. But definitely, I think that from a wider point as well, it's just, it's nicer sometimes if them decisions are a little bit more explained to the wider audience of BAFA.
Yeah, we've tried. We'll keep trying. Don't you worry. We'll certainly keep trying to get people on here to try and allow for discussion and maybe come live so people can ask questions or do some sort of Q&A maybe. But we'll keep trying for sure. And one thing that we do know now is that obviously Aberdeen will be in the league this year, because obviously something has changed to allow that to happen, which we will find out. So we have got some uncertainty going into 2026 still. We don't have confirmed alignments. We don't have fixtures yet. The 14th of Jan is unusual. So things have clearly not gone smooth in the off season this year, have they? Because we would normally have fixtures by now, I think, wouldn't we? I remember last year, wasn't it? Alignments, Christmas Eve, the first week back was fixtures or something like that, I think, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
I think so, yeah. But again, it was a little bit smoother this time last year, and a lot of people around BAFA that do all the competitions bits are volunteers. So should they have to work around that time of year? Probably not. If things are a little bit rough, then, you know, fair play. They can have their time off and enjoy it as much as we did when we weren't podding. But yeah, now we're back into the thick of it in the new year. I hope we get it in. I hope we get it in the next couple of weeks.
Maybe both will land at the same time. Confirmed alignments and confirmed fixtures. Maybe they will. So we will wait and we'll hope that it comes through quite quickly. But no, we'll keep you posted. We'll wait to hear what happens. We'll react when we get it for sure. I feel some sort of reaction pod happening when it does land, because it'll be a lot of. It's always like Christmas itself, isn't it, when it lands? So we can pick it apart. So we might be back for that a little bit sooner than maybe that next week, but we'll see. Anything else to get to before we get out of here, guys?
Not that I can think of.
No,
No.
me neither.
We've reached out to both head coaches of GB. We will get them on the pod. They asked for us to give us a chance, lads. Basically, is what they said, and then they'll be on the podcast. So look out for them. We'll definitely be in touch. But if you're not sure what we talked about around the alignments, go back to our YouTube channel and have a gander at what was discussed prior to Christmas. Flag guys will be back soon as well, won't they? Because their first game day is that beginning of Feb or something? I think
That's a great question.
That's not far away at all, is it? And
What is it?
yeah,
Game week 5 or game week 6 that they're on?
6. Pretty sure it's 6.
Scrambling at the structure in the game weeks. Game week 6 is game week 5 is the 17th of the 1st, which is this weekend, which I don't think they have. I think that was a rain week, wasn't it? And then the 7th of February. In fact, it'd be interesting to see whether they rearrange that postponed tournament for this weekend. I haven't heard or seen anything.
Haven't heard anything.
And aren't the GB women's flag team out in Florida right now as well?
There might be.
I think I've seen that on HNC it. So I doubt I doubt they will have put anything this weekend. So there is one place we can find out, and that's on their Tournify, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Brilliant stuff. Might do previews next week, Isaac. What do you reckon?
Potentially.
Awesome.
I have an idea.
Right.
So
let's watch this space. Don't want to hold you to it. Awesome. No. Great stuff. Let's see how we go. But nonetheless, we'll be back next week. We probably will be back sooner if the fixtures and the alignment stand. But if they don't, then we'll definitely be back next week to talk about the one result that happens this week that matters this season, Stuart. And then obviously we'll talk about the previews for the following week as well. If we go back to normal. So yeah, we will thank you again, Isaac and Stuart, for joining me. Great to have you back and great to catch up again. Thanks to those who joined us, and we will catch you again next week. Take care for now.